Welcome back to a historic day in the Purple Rain podcast era. Welcome back to another episode. We're just smiling with just the nicest of grins of the Purple Rain podcast, episode 153. All right, 153. So we're gonna talk about Jihad Ward episode, Jeremy Zutta, Dalshawn Phillips this year,
Talk about
Jameel McClain now a coach, now part of the Ravens, organization. Bam Bradley and this one. Tyrell Peters throwing it back, but this one right here, Dan Cody. All right. Remember when Dan Cody got drafted? I thought he was going to be that thing out of Oklahoma. Didn't amount to anything. That was when I first, 2006, first got into football. Kind of hurt me. I thought he was going to be something, but he wasn't. But welcome back to the Purple Rain podcast. We are here.
Yes.
We're here.
Yeah.
We're here. All right. Follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. Follow this guy on Instagram, on Twitter at Sutton Def. Follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod, on Twitter at simplyas10. I think Sutton is frozen. That is. Oh, I can't. Oh, there you go. You're good now. You're good now. Okay. I thought it was Greg Roman trying to take over the stream. I was scared for a second. I was scared.
Yeah.
But we are here. How are you feeling today? Oh, purple. I'm sorry. Manscaped, 20% off. Code PRP. How could I forget? How could I forget?
Yeah, man. Manscaped.com, 20% off, free shipping as well with our code PRP. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out to this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. This is episode 153, a very special episode to say the least. We got some big news for you guys. You guys already know the news. We're here to talk about it with you guys. So, before we get into it, I have to get all the formalities out of the way, though. I have to see everybody who's in the live chat. Dre's in the live chat. What's going on, Dre? Jabari's in here as well. Mod K-Dog in the house as well. JD is in here. Rico. I see Kendarius Tolliver is in the house as well. Welcome to the stream, bro. Death to Beta. Justin Roberts. Zeke Hokage. Rain Gang in full effect tonight. I see my guy Chike in the building as well. What's going on, Chike? Oscar is in the house. What's going on, DLC? J Prime 235, welcome, everyone. Listen, before we get into anything else, make sure you like this video. Leave a like on the video, leave a thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. You guys don't even know. It's crazy for our channel. When you like the video, what it does for our channel. So please consider liking the video. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. We're gonna go ahead and get our 5 seconds of silence to like the video out of the way. So let's go ahead and get to that. 5 seconds to like the video. Ready and go. All right, so hopefully you've liked the video by now. If you have, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. You're officially part of the Rain Gang. If you did not like the video, maybe consider liking the video.
Yeah, just consider.
Just consider it for sure. All right, Alex, let's get into what we came here to talk about tonight. Obviously, the biggest news of the day. Greg Roman is out of there as offensive coordinator for the Ravens, man. It's been years in the making. It's been years in the making. This has been the number one thing. There are whole Twitter pages dedicated to slandering this man's name. And that may be a little bit excessive, but it's just kind of to put things into perspective for you. How much Ravens fans have been wanting this move to happen for years. And it's finally happened today on, January 19th, 2023. So, Alex. Monumental. Alex, I want to get your take on it. Okay. Rain Gang, anybody who's watching right now, if you're part of the live chat, thank you so much for joining. If you're not watching this live, you're part of the hashtag replay gang. Thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure you leave your comments, questions down below, concerns down below in the comment section. But Alex, I'm going to start with you. What was your knee-jerk reaction to Roman parting ways with the Ravens today?
So I woke up, any other day, pretty early, and I saw my favorite soccer team sign a player. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a good day. And then, just out of nowhere, I see this tweet from Ian Rappaport saying that Gregory Roman is parting ways. It's going, looking at a different way in his career. I'm like, okay. I was jubilant, happy,
Yeah,
excited, jumping up and down off the walls like a kid on pixie sticks. I was that happy. Now, let me just got the way. I wish the best for him and his family.
sure.
Very nice guy. Unfortunately, just went stale. Wasn't working. So I respect the Ravens for saying they aren't firing him, just letting him go out on his own terms. I respect that.
Yeah.
But with that being said, this is our time to make some wrongs, turn them into rights. I'm happy that we have Lamar Jackson. We'll get into this more, but he will be, dabbling in who the next OC is. But John Harbaugh, this is now on you now. I don't want any of your besties coming in. I want somebody who is fit for this job. The right credentials, the right background, not Willie Taggart or whoever that was, just because he's cool with your family. No, I want somebody who can elevate this offense. This offense has now graduated. They graduated. We're talking. We're in the big boy world now. All right. So we graduated from let's say from the Browns, from the bad teams. We're now talking with the Chiefs, the Bills, the Niners, the Eagles. We're with them now. All right. Make a hiring like them, or steal one of their guys. All right. But it's time to play with the big boys. That means using our wide receivers. But what was your first reaction?
No, yeah, I mean, I really like the adjective that you used, jubilant. I think that was really good. That's a really good way to put it. I was the exact same way. Not really in shock. I kind of feel like most Ravens fans expected it to happen. And if it didn't, I said on Twitter earlier, Twitter was going to be an absolute zoo. Like Ravens Twitter was going to be an absolute zoo if they said that they were going to retain Greg Roman throughout, the next couple, however many years. But I was excited, just like you were. Obviously this offense needed a makeover. It needed a makeover, and I feel like this is the perfect move. Getting rid of Greg Roman and bringing in somebody else to just inject some innovation, to inject some creativity. I actually said this in the YouTube short that I posted earlier, right here on this very channel. Greg Roman, he was, a pretty good coordinator. Like he had some amazing run concepts. I will definitely give him that. His passing concepts, I felt like me personally were lackluster. John Harbaugh didn't, but I'm going to get into that next. But obviously, I think me personally, Greg Roman, his offense, it had a ceiling, and that ceiling was made out of concrete, right? So you're not getting through that. I mean, we knew that, and I say it's made out of concrete because we've seen his offense reach a certain level before and not be able to break that level. With the Bills, with the 49ers in the Super Bowl, with us. So I think it was definitely time for us to move on. I think the Ravens made the right move to make, and just all the other things that I'm going to get into as well, or that we're both going to get into about the press conference and what we took away from it.
Yeah.
I think there's some room for optimism after that press conference. I will say that. But getting back to the whole Roman thing, it kind of intrigued me because two things, right? And I know you're aware of both these things. One thing, John Harbaugh, when he was asked about Greg Roman, right, he was saying that, oh, well, Greg Roman, he is, a great run game coordinator, but his pass concepts are really good as well. So to me, I'm thinking to myself, right, if you think his run concepts are good and you think his pass concepts are great, then obviously this wasn't your move to get rid of him, to move on from him, right? Because you like what he's doing on offense. So that kind of like tipped me off to think that like, okay, maybe this was a move from maybe upstairs, maybe Steve Bisciotti. He heard us say last episode that the ball was in his court. He picked it up. Maybe he took a shot. I don't know. That was one thing, Alex. And the second thing, and I know you saw this on Twitter today. After it was announced that Greg Roman would no longer be offensive coordinator of the Ravens, somebody came out on Twitter and said, I can't remember the exact account, but they said that, where I'm probably going with this. They said that, hey, just to remind you guys, before you guys get into talking about who Lamar Jackson needs as his next offensive coordinator, things like that, he said, when in college, Lamar Jackson ran a quote-unquote pro-style offense under Bobby Petrino at Louisville. Lamar Jackson then quoted that tweet and said, thank you, like agreeing, like, yeah, like I'm not just restricted to doing this one thing like my last coordinator had me doing. You can get me somebody who's going to run the real type of show that a quarterback needs to be running. and I can take on those reins. So that was really telling to me. I don't know if you saw that, but if you did, what did you think about that?
I thought it was very telling. Number one,
Yeah.
I thought, it was kind of shots without shots, to be honest. But it shows you what Lamar Jackson wants to run. And going to this press conference too, what kind of pissed me off and what kind of pushed me more towards the hashtag hardball out was the fact he's like, we know what our offense is. We know what we're going to do well. We know what all the other teams know what we're going to do, which means they're not going to change their philosophy at all. So they're still stuck in this 1960s, 1970s mentality of running the ball and great defense.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you have to say it. It's not going to fucking work. This is why I'm hoping that with Lamar Jackson selecting offensive coordinator means that they can try to change up this offense. And we need somebody to go against Harbaugh. Like I'm not going to stop saying it. It's just stale. It's run out. And I have more faith in Eric DeCosta picking an offensive coordinator than John Harbaugh. Because if John Harbaugh could run the team as a GM, Jim would be on it. Greg Roman would still be here. Hell, his father will probably have a part in the staff. Like I as much as I'm joking, I feel like it would be true. John is just too overly friendly with the guys that he knows. So with you talking about the pro style offense, I'm all on board. I just hope that DaCosta has more power because I know he would do what's best for the team, not what's best for Harbaugh and his little his connections.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely can agree there. I mean, Harbaugh, I really don't want him to, and I know he said at the press conference as well that like they're going to consider internals and externals when it comes to, bringing in a new OC. But I think that, like you said, EDC, he needs to have more say.
Yep.
Somebody else needs to have more say, more credibility when it comes to hiring this next offensive coordinator. And I thought that was very interesting that they said that Lamar Jackson is going to have a say in it as well. That's probably one of the bigger takeaways that I got from it too. Um, they're going to give Lamar what he deserves. I mean, they talked about his contract situation. They're excited to start negotiating with him again. There were some little tidbits in there about the contract talks that, like,
Yeah.
kind of tipped me off or whatever. I guess we'll probably get to those a little bit later. But most of the things that I heard on the football side of things, it sounded good. They want Lamar to be there, and Lamar's going to be part of the decision making process for this, that, and the third. That I like. I like to hear that. So let me see what some of you guys are saying really quick about this whole Greg Roman leaving situation. Jabari Cruz Ellis says Lamar is definitely staying, especially after hearing John saying that Lamar will have input on the next OC.
Yes.
I mean, I think that could be, definitely maybe part of a deciding factor in Lamar's mind. Like he's going to have some sort of control over the offense, right?
Yeah, I think we're in a better spot than we were yesterday with the whole. I'm gonna
Right.
start the C word. I'm gonna stop saying it because we're gonna say that word 1 million more times. But it's the fact that he can finally have a say in this offense compared to before. I mean, when he came in Marty Morningwig as a first-year starter in 2019, he really didn't have much say on who his OC could be. Besides, Roman was already the tight ends coach, and I thought from the jump when we hired Roman, he was going to be Marty Morningwig's replacement. Surprise, surprise, that's what happened. And like Kandarius says, choosing your future is dope. So if he can have this somebody where he feels like he'll have fun again playing in an offense, I mean, that's definitely huge. He has to be looking at these other teams like the Niners, like the Eagles, like the good teams. Like they're just scoring 40 points with a third string quarterback for fucking fun. Like I know Lamar would love to do that with this team. So if he can have a say on it, hell yeah, it's gonna help him this day. Your mic is muted.
Not even sure why I had it muted, but okay, thank you. My guy Dylan says part one of the offseason is done now. Find a good replacement, extend Lamar, trade for D Hop, and draft first round receiver. Okay, so you know, obviously we all know the big news. Greg Roman is out as offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Obviously, I think that we all know that this is a positive thing. It's more of a positive thing than a negative thing because we know the relationship between Greg Roman and that Ravens offense was getting stale. Things weren't really working out like they should have been. They weren't
Yeah.
progressing like they should have been.
Yeah.
So kind of moving on from that, right? And we're still going to be talking about that in the mix throughout this episode. But the press conference today
Mm-hmm.
was very
Mm-hmm.
telling. And, you know, what they said, especially what came out of Eric DaCosta's mouth, I thought was very interesting because he said a lot of things about how, you know, they want to go out and spend money in free agency, kind of in a whole lot of words. That's what they said. They're gonna make sure that they bring somebody in. You know, John
Yep.
Harbaugh, on the other hand, said the wide receiver room is going to be quote unquote new. It's going to be revamped, right? So Alex is turning his face up to that. I don't know why. I want to get his take.
Because it's been turning for 5-6 years now. Every single year it's been different. Like they're acting like this is some brand new revelation. We've known this. We have known that the receiving core was an issue. In 2018, we signed John Brown, Michael Crabtree, and Willie Snead. Didn't work. Didn't work. The next year, okay, cool. We draft Marquise Brown, Miles Boykin, sign Seth Roberts. Didn't work. Okay, 2020. We're gonna let some of those guys walk, and then we're gonna draft Prochet Duvernay, and then re-sign Willie Snead. Didn't work. Okay, then next year we're gonna draft Rashad Bateman, Sammy Watkins. Didn't work. Then this year we just trade Hollywood Brown. Don't bring anybody else in except DeMarcus Robinson. Doesn't work. They're not putting in the right resources. Yes, we talk about drafting, but we'll say before we said it again, if you want to get a top tier receiver, you got to fucking trade for him. That's what really will, revamp this receiving core. You trade for somebody, I don't know who that will be, but a top tier receiver, and then we're talking about a good receiving core. But you're just throwing rookies and young guys into the fire, and you wonder why it doesn't work. And just signing free agents who are obviously not as good as, like, say, DeAndre Hopkins, who we know is going to be on the trade block, like a Devontae Adams last year. That's why I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at what they said because me and you have known this. We've known. I mean, when was the last time we had a top half receiving core? You can argue last year, but nobody was healthy at the same time.
Right. No, I mean, like Kendarius said, man, those are all facts. Nothing but facts. Man, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We have to trade for a wide receiver if we want to get some talent. You know, we've shown time and time again that drafting is not working. Picking up these older free agent veterans in the offseason is not working. Like, we need to trade for a proven talent at that position. And, I think that was sort of what they were alluding to at the press conference, Eric DaCosta and John Harbaugh. Eric DaCosta, I know he said himself that they want to get Lamar Jackson more weapons that can benefit him. Like, obviously he said that, and this is verbatim what John Harbaugh actually said. He said that, that wide receiving room is going to look pretty much brand new. We're going to keep our guys. And he kind of said, like, oh, the guys we're keeping. And to me, I was thinking Bateman, Duvernay, and then everybody else is on the chopping block up for grabs. Is that what you got from that too?
Yeah. I wouldn't hate keeping DeMarcus Robinson. I said that before. I really would. I wouldn't hate it. I thought he produced pretty well. But yeah, I think, and as for Duvernay, they won't even be keeping him mainly as a receiver. It's for special teams, I think. Yeah, he'll come in on certain downs, but he'll be a 3 or 4 at most. So, but Bateman, obviously, yeah. But I mean, even with him, he can't stay healthy, which is a big question mark. But the one thing I'm gonna look at some positives about this offense: our line set. Ben Powers, they basically admitted Ben Powers is gonna leave. He played himself out of our price range. I understand that.
It happens, yeah.
Yeah, tight ends set, running backs set. Lock up your quarterback. I think we're probably the top 2 destinations for coordinators, I would say, are the Chargers and the Bucks, depending what happens with the Bucks quarterback. But the Ravens definitely going to be up there. Depending what we do with the receivers, could jump us or could, make us go lower. But I think it'd be a pretty good place to come. Just the philosophy. We do need a whole new philosophy change. Kind of like with defense. Mike, like you brought up with the younger coaches, I know last episode, Mike McDonald came in. We went from like not getting sacks at all to having almost a 10 sack guy in Justin Houston. Top 7, top 10, top 5 in sacks. We had turnovers, which we couldn't buy one last year. And look what happens. Our defense gives up 17 points against one of the best offenses in the league. Maybe you do it on the offense. It might work.
Yeah. Let's see. Our guy Jonathan Washington Jr. here says, I think EDC needs to be aggressive and not only trade for a wide receiver, but draft a wide receiver within the first 2 rounds of the draft. I don't think they should stop trying to draft wide receivers. Now, I find this pretty interesting. And by the way, shout out to all 78 people watching live right now. We love you guys. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you for joining our show. I find this interesting from Jonathan here because He's saying trade for a wide receiver. If we trade for a wide receiver, my imagination is DeAndre Hopkins. It's kind of like D-Hop or bust, right? If we get D-Hop, I don't think that we necessarily need to go and spend high draft capital on a wide receiver. Because, again, we have Bateman, who I don't think that he is necessarily, I'm going to just say it, injury prone. I don't think that he's necessarily injury prone just yet. You can't really put that label on him if you're not going to put that same label on Lamar Jackson, which I don't think is necessarily the case just yet. You know, he's still a very young kid. He's got a lot of time to develop. Yeah. But if we get DeAndre Hopkins, I think that we should be good with that. If we don't end up getting DeAndre Hopkins and they end up settling for somebody like, I don't know, Alan Lazard, Chark, Smith Schuster, guys like that, maybe free agent guys like that, then yeah, I would say go out and draft a wide receiver. But, you know, for me, it's D-Hop or bust. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I get that. I was trying to find this tweet. So some guys that could be available, DJ Chark, Jerry Jeudy, I know we've brought him up, Hopkins,
Jeudy,
Brandon
yeah.
Cooks, Elijah Moore, maybe who knows what happens with the Raiders, but Devontae Adams, I'm not too sure. King brings up Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, depending. I added Chris Godwin, but he brought Mike Evans. Depending what happens with the Buccaneers and with their quarterback situation. But I need somebody who is not past their prime. I need somebody who is just going into the best years of their career. And I need somebody who simply can just go up there and get the goddamn ball. And that was DK Metcalf last year. I thought he would have been the perfect receiver. There's a player that I would love for the Ravens to get, but he just signed a massive extension, and he's actually right down the road from us, Terry McLaurin. I would love for him to be a Raven. Not going to happen. But a guy like that, a guy that hasn't hit his prime, can go up there and get the ball, and you can just produce. And I'm tired of...
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about a guy who on 3rd and 17 can just go up and get the fucking football, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's what he's talking about at the end of the day. DK Metcalf, like you like to call him, DeKalen Zacharias Metcalf, his full government name. I agree with you. I think that DK Metcalf is the perfect archetype of receiver for the Ravens offense and Lamar Jackson. Now, I think that the Seahawks definitely want to hold on to him. So it's less likely that we get him, but obviously DeAndre Hopkins is going to be moved this offseason.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the more likely, selection to happen. And I just really hope it does happen, because I know a lot of people are saying in the chat that he's 30 years old, he might be past his prime, whatever.
Kind of contradicting ourselves, kind of, but at the same time, we see what DeAndre Hopkins did this season.
We see what he did this season.
Suspended 6 games, and still balled,
and still produced. You know what I mean? And I can't stop. It's literally like poetry. You can't write it any better. And people probably get annoyed with me for bringing it up. Anquan Bolden, we got from the Cardinals.
Come on, let's do it.
Anquan Bolden, we got from the Cardinals, and before that Super Bowl season, man. Why can we not go out and get DeAndre Hopkins and try to produce the same thing? I think it's right there. It's right there for us. I think that's the missing piece. Like you said, running backs, check. Tight end, check. Offensive line, minus Ben Powers maybe next year, check. Defense in general, check. Harbaugh said it himself. The only thing that you're missing is that wide receiving core. You shore that up with the DeAndre Hopkins, this team is going to the moon. It's going to the moon. It's inevitable. I mean, you saw what we did with a backup quarterback, C-grade receivers, you know what I mean? And then also the coaching that we had, Greg Roman.
C is generous, I think.
C is generous, right? and with the coaching that we had, we damn near beat the AFC champions, the defending AFC champions. So we're right there.
Yeah, and like I said, we're really not as far as we think, because like you brought up, we went toe-to-toe with the Bengals, and that stupid-ass QB sneak sold us. And if we think about our last 2 playoff games, I know you brought up with the Bills, when the pick 6, there was a defensive touchdown scored in both of those games, which eventually kind of was the dagger. I mean, we lost 17-3. We were up 10-3 in the red zone. Throw a pick 6, 17-3. 17-17. We had all the momentum against the Bengals. A freak fumble to take it back 98 yards. Touchdown.
Yep.
Like, we're really not that far away. And that's, I think, what kills us the most. We're not saying that we're going to win the Super Bowl. We're saying we are really close to being that contending team that you talk about every year, like the Chiefs, like the Niners, like the Bills. But just going back to what you said about the whole Hopkins and Bolden, hell yeah. I just brought up the stats right here. 64 catches, 717 yards, 11.2 average, 3 touchdowns. Obviously, I want those touchdowns to go up, but and him getting suspended 6 games probably was more than most of our receivers combined. He probably had more yards than all of our receivers combined. It wouldn't surprise me.
Right. I mean, and honestly, putting somebody like a D-Hop on our receiving core would help out Rashad Bateman, would help develop him, get him more looks. You know, can you imagine if you had to take attention off of Rashad Bateman for
he took
DeAndre
Xavier
Hopkins
Howard on a slant. It took it 75 yards.
On a slant. So imagine who's going to be on Rashad Bateman when Xavier Howard has to cover DeAndre Hopkins. I'm just saying.
And if our going into the season, our third string receiver Demarcus Robinson was cooking Eli Apple, who was the Bengals' number 1 corner, we're talking about a whole different game. Now I know it's, we're talking about ifs, buts, or maybes, but those are the things you got to do to become a winning ball club in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Simply, we just don't have any playoff success. I think you tweeted it out. 60% of teams have more playoff wins than the Ravens. I think, was that the stat?
Yeah, in the last decade.
But the way we're talked about, you would think we've won 5 Super Bowls. How respected we are.
How respected, yeah. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. And it's kind of it's not kind of, it's definitely an embarrassing stat. 60% of teams in this league have more playoff wins than the Baltimore Ravens in the last 10 years.
So it's funny because the Jags have more playoff wins than us, I think, in the past couple of years. The Jags went to an AFC championship, lost, tanked, got the first round pick, then won a playoff game. But since we're able to be competitive every single year, we've only won, 1 game? No.
And that's the complacency. And that's why it was so good to me, that they got this out of the way early, parting ways with Roman. We're going to start fresh. We're not even going to waste time trying to be mysterious about it. Let's just come out and say up front, hey, look, we're moving on from that. Next year will be different. I like that. That's where my optimism comes from, for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely more optimistic this year than I was last year. And that's even, going into the season. I remember telling you before a preseason stream, I was like, another season. But this one, I'm definitely looking forward to it, knowing that we're going to get something fresh, but it all depends with who the OC is. I mean, I have a couple of guys that I want us to take a look at. I know we'll talk about that, but I just need somebody innovative, somebody that, does stuff different from the rest of them in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody who is, quite frankly, going to take some of the training wheels off this offense that have been on there for so long. And then also no routes. I mean, no passing concepts where you got routes and guys running into each other. That's frustrating. I can't do that. I can't do it anymore. Can't stand to see it. All right. So other takeaways from the press conference, right?
Yes.
We're going to get into a couple other takeaways, and we're going to get into some of actually the picks. We got our picks for the divisional round weekend. Playoffs still going on. The Ravens are still not here. Ravens are not here anymore, but we still got picks. And then, like my guy Alex said, we got questions too. Now, one of my other biggest takeaways from the press conference was, and Alex, listen, don't hate me. I know you don't like talking about the Lamar situation, the contract, whatever. But EDC, he said something that was kind of interesting to me. He said that Lamar has his own style of negotiation. And he mentioned that, how long the contract negotiations have been going on between him and Lamar. And then he also, right after that, in the same breath, mentioned that Roquan Smith has his own negotiation style because he's also his own agent. And that took a matter of a month and a half. So he also said in another same breath, he said that Lamar, the contract situation has been a burden for both of them. So I feel like there is some frustration there. And I feel like there is a possibility for some smoke and mirrors. And I don't know if we're totally 100% out of the woods yet when it comes to this Lamar Jackson contract situation. He also did not state whether or not there would be the unrestricted franchise tag or the restricted franchise tag, because we know there's a big difference between the two. But what did you think about that?
First and foremost, I think you should like the video. That's my first thing. And if you haven't, just consider it. So now talking about this, I thought there was more positive news than negative news. A big positive is that the fact he's still in Baltimore. Some guys probably aren't even here anymore. Play at locker, go back home, go on vacation, get some relaxation.
Yeah.
But definitely good to hear that he's still here. And I'm not surprised about the whole negotiation thing. I thought it was funny how like it took a year and a half for Stanley's contract, a month and a half for Roquan, 3 to 4 days for Mark Andrews. No player's the same. I completely get that. I think he obviously wasn't saying too much, but just the way that I feel it's going to go, like this is between Roquan getting signed, hearing this news, Roman going. I think it's more and more likely to happen. No pun intended. Just because of what the Ravens have shown us already. They're not scared to get rid of a coach now. It's done. They say Lamar's going to be involved in it. Siri came up. And they say they're going to revamp this receiving core. To me, that sounds pretty good. That sounds like they're going to invest in him. Now, I'm not going to say it's 100% going to get done because there's always that. But the fact that, and somebody saying, is he going to be your starting quarterback? He said 100% absolutely. Just anything can happen, though.
So, and I just kind of had a thought. I guess after listening or watching that press conference from earlier, you can kind of start to cultivate some of the goals for this offseason, right? And if you had to say like the top 3 goals for this team in the offseason, what would those look like? What are those?
I'm not gonna, try to think too much about this. Number 1 is extending him. Quarterback,
right? Yeah.
Obviously, he's your quarterback. Goals number 2, receiving. They made that pretty obvious. Number 3, I guess the OC, but you can flip flop. I'd probably say no. OC second, receivers 3, because you need the right prototype of receivers to be in this offense of the coordinator. Because we know with Romans, he wants his receivers to block. Hell, I hope this next one, they don't have to block that much. They have to block, but not every single goddamn down. That's but one thing I know is it's all offense oriented. So
that's important. That's a good point. That's a good point.
And to go to number 4, secondary. They kind of touched on it. They want to get some more defensive backs because they talked about Peters, talked about our rookies. We don't really have that many defensive backs. Cornerbacks, that is. If you think about it, a lot of young guys, not a lot of experienced guys.
Yeah. No, I agree on that front as well. I think that cornerback is definitely that number 4, I guess you could say like honorable mention spot. But those top 3 goals that you hit on, you hit the nail on the head with those. And, you mentioned the change of offensive coordinator. That's already happened. The other 2 things, extend Lamar and get, receivers, get them weapons. We're already a third of the way there, right? And the offseason just started. So as long as those other 2 things can happen, as long as those other 2 dominoes can fucking fall where they need to, then I think that will be good going into next season. So, guys, listen, if you're watching, if you're one of the 98 people watching live right now, thank you so much. If you're part of the hashtag replay gang and you're listening to this right now, thank you so much. But guys, listen, this is good news. What we heard today was definitely good news, and you should be optimistic. We should be optimistic, as a fan base, because it seems like this team they didn't sound as tone deaf today. No. It wasn't like what I expected, like, we love our guys and we haven't really made the decision on whether or not we want to do this or that with our coordinators and we're just going to take some time to evaluate. No, they came up to the forefront today and they said, hey, look, no, this is what we're doing. We've already made this change, right? So we're going to go ahead and get a new offensive coordinator. We want Lamar. We're letting the world know right now. I think EDC said himself, Harbaugh, and Bisciotti. They all want Lamar Jackson to sign, So they're kind of they're putting out into the air what needs to be heard, So I was happy about it all in all.
Yeah, take those jersey swaps, Jets fans, Falcons fans, shove them up your ass. It's not happening. All right, I'm tired of seeing even former Jets players sit here and tag Lamar Sauce Gardner, bro. Stop it. Please stop it. Like these are the same Jets and Jets fans too. They were like, "Oh, we'll bring on the Ravens week 1. He's a running back." How did that go for you? I just want to know. Stick with Kyle Bowler 2.0, aka Zach Wilson. And yeah. But going back to what you said, the top 3 things, you signed Lamar before free agency. That's 2 out of your 3 done, and you can see, well, okay, well maybe there's one guy we like in free agency. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna flip out if we don't sign anybody crazy in free agency, especially receiver. If there's anybody, maybe DJ Chark, I'd like, or DeMarcus back. But trading is what I'm looking at. So if you can get two out of those 3 done before mid-March, we're talking about a really good offseason. You can get somebody traded, talk about the draft, and who knows? There's more people that want to come out and get traded. When Devontae came out, it was the last summer, I think, when he wanted to get traded. So there's still a lot of time for these guys to get disgruntled about their contracts. Who knows?
But I think you also make a good point. Sign Lamar first, like extend Lamar first, kind of get that cloud from over top of the Ravens organization. So other people that are from on the outside looking in, they see clear skies. They see, okay, Lamar signed there. It's all good. They got a new offensive coordinator. Maybe that is a good destination for me if I'm a wide receiver, right? So I think that it is a good idea to get that deal done sooner rather than later. That way it doesn't affect the opinions of any other potential free agents or people, things like that. So, but all right. I think we
look
have
at
talked
us.
at
Positive. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Less than a week removed from getting eliminated, getting booted out of the playoffs from our division rival. Here we are, positive, right?
It's crazy because, we kind of predicted we were going to lose. Maybe that's why it doesn't hurt so much. Like, it hurt because the fact we had a chance. A couple of days, I'm like, okay, we're out, but the defense gave me. I was telling this on Twitter. I was like, the defense made me proud. We gave up 17 points to the Bengals, who Burrow threw for 500 on us like 2 times last year. Showed up, and obviously we had a backup quarterback, so we still damn near had a chance. Things are looking up. Yeah.
Things are looking up, and you bring up a good point as well. You said we held the Bengals to 17 points. Obviously there was that fumble recovery, 98-yard or whatever. Not counting that, but offensively they had 17 points. Guarantee you they put up 30, 35 points this week. Guarantee you.
Oh, it's gonna take the over for the Bills Bengals.
Take
the over.
Definitely. So
and they have a lot of talent on that defense too. It's crazy. They signed Von Miller. He's out. He's not going to play. He's hurt. They have top safeties. They got Trey White, all-pro linebacker, and Matt Milano. Patrick Weed maybe was snubbed, but I'm not going to talk too much. But yeah. Oh, and real quick, the Patrick Queen 5th-year thing. Please don't trade him. Please don't.
Please.
Like, I've
Ravens.
seen fans want to trade him for a receiver. I don't think that would happen. Please, I'm just getting flashbacks like how we wanted Hollywood and Bateman together to have a full season. Oh, that would have been amazing. And I get Hollywood wanted out. I don't think Queen wants out. I think Queen is playing his best football under Zach Orr and Mike McDonald next to Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's not broke. It is working perfectly. It is working amazing. Don't let him go. Please don't.
See, we do have our first super chat donation of the night from our guy Jabari Cruz Ellis, man. Who else, man? We love you, bro. We appreciate you. Sends the 5-piece just for the positivity, guys. Yeah, man.
Purple Positivity.
Gotta keep it positive.
Podcast.
Purple Positivity Podcast. You heard it here first, folks. That's what we're trying to preach here. Got a long 7 months ahead of us, but already a lot to look forward to, especially with the news that we got today. But again, thank you so much, Jabari Cruz Ellis, for donating. We appreciate you, bro. And
thank you to the 107 people watching as well. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining the Rain Gang. Thank you for joining this big, beautiful family here. Make sure you like the video. If you're enjoying the content, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we would greatly appreciate that. All right. Alex, do you think it's time to get into some picks? Because I'm ready to talk about some playoff football. I know the Ravens are out, but
yeah,
I'm ready to talk some playoff football.
I'm wearing a jersey of a team still in the playoffs. I'm ready. I am ready. Let's do it.
If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do it.
You know what that means. About to come.
You know what that means.
The NFL playoffs, the divisional round, the music. We're just gonna talk about it now. So obviously we were knocked out, but still football going on. All right.
Yeah.
Our first game. Which one? I'm trying to see which one it is. I'm waiting for the NFL app to show up. Sorry, it's not showing up. So I'll just go by what I know. The Niners and the Cowboys, first and foremost.
Yes.
Who do you got?
Niners, Cowboys, you know what? There's been a lot of back and forth on mainstream, national sports media, television, whatever you want to call it. People love the Cowboys. I love the 49ers in this one. I feel like they're going to put the Cowboys in their place. We're going to see exactly why the Cowboys have been labeled as, the choke artists that they have been labeled over the past 3 decades almost. Give me the 49ers in this one by at least 10 points.
Yeah. Brock Purdy, kind of a system quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself. I'm happy for him, but he's making the right throws, not making mistakes. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. That trade looks so good. I know he was, injury prone in Carolina, but since he's went to the Niners, who would have thought? An innovative offense getting the most out of their players.
Yeah.
Let's look at one of them assistants if they're,
Maybe. I mean, I'm just saying too. Like, the Cowboys have lost their last 6 divisional round matchups. I think that they choke when the lights get too bright. The Cowboys, they always choke, man. And I feel like it's not going to be any different this week. The 49ers are an all-star team that's been assembled. Brock Purdy just happens to work, and Kyle Shanahan, love his coaching. Give me the 49ers for sure.
And if the Cowboys have a chance to win, they got to run the ball. Zeke didn't look good, I thought, on Monday night. So
no,
give me the Niners. They're my pick, to go all the way. Our next game, talk about some AFC. Jaguars, Chiefs, little rematch of a game earlier this year. Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes.
This is gonna be closer than a lot of people think it's gonna be.
Thank you.
It's going to be oh my god. I almost want to pick the Jaguars, but I'm gonna take the Chiefs in a very, very, very close game. I'm talking like Mahomes 2-minute drill. You know what I mean? Sort of like at the end of the game for a touchdown, walk-off touchdown, that sort of thing, or maybe a Trevor Lawrence turnover on downs at the end of the game, But it's close, though. It's close. I really like what I see from the Jags, but give me the Chiefs. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to be right there with you. I think it's going to be final drive or maybe a game-winning field goal, 34-31. I think I might get hate for this, but I think the Jaguars have better weapons than the Chiefs right now. When you look at who they have, I think they showed me. What has Juju, what has Marquez Valdez-Scantling shown us? We haven't seen it yet. We have got to see it in the playoffs, but Christian Kirk showed me something. Zay Jones showed me something. Hell, Evan Ingram is playing like a top 5 tight end. He's insane right now. Trevor Lawrence, he's going to have them boys cooking, but I think Andy Reid and the Chiefs, Mahomes Magic's going to come through. They're going to pull it out in a very, like you said, very, very close one.
Yeah.
Next one, an NFC East battle. The Giants and the Eagles. Who are you rolling?
Giants and the Eagles. This is going to be an interesting one. I tweeted out yesterday, 75% of the NFC East is still in the playoffs, which is incredible to me. Shout out to them. For me, though, I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. It's been rumored, I've heard from all over that Jalen Hurts is ready to go. Been fully cleared from, his inactive status that he had a couple weeks ago. So give me the Eagles in this one. I feel like that offense and just all around is going to be too much for the Giants to handle. Daniel Jones, I like what I saw from him last week, but again, man, lights are getting brighter. I think they're going to sell out stopping the run. Saquon really put the ball in Daniel Jones' hands, and I see that pass rush getting after him.
Yeah, there's a reason why they traded for Robert Quinn. Defense has to show up. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has to show up. Darius Slay. I'm right there with you. I'm actually wearing the Randall Cunningham Eagles, all right? And I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going to go with them. I need them to show me something. I would love to see a Niners-Eagles NFC Championship because that would just be high-flying action. So much fun to watch. Yeah, I'm really rooting for Jalen Hurts. Happy for him. A.J. Brown, this is why they traded a first for you. And he hasn't disappointed them in big games. He's put up numbers. Devonta Smith.
Or Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah. Dallas Goedert, looking good. That line holds up. I think they'll be pretty good. Give me the Eagles. And a final game of the week. Bengals, Bills. I'm not going to talk about what happened last time they played. They're playing in Orchard Park. This should be a good one.
This one is going to be a good one. It's going to be a toss-up. It's going to be a very emotional game. as well. This is the first time these two teams are meeting since the whole Lamar Hamlin situation a couple weeks ago. But this is definitely the hardest one to pick, though, to be honest. It's a toss-up. But I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals in this one.
Okay.
I feel like that Bills defense, ever since they lost Von Miller, has lost a step. They've lost something in losing Von Miller. I know that Cincinnati Bengals, their offensive line is beat up as well. But Joe Burrow, if there's one thing that he's shown me is that he's an ace, man. When shit breaks down, he can come up with something and make magic happen. It's just what he does. I've seen him do it time and time again.
Against us.
So against us. So let me get the Bengals in this one, man.
I like that. I like where you're thinking. I'm right there with you with the fact that no Von Miller hurts. Hell, even Skylar Thompson was cooking that Bills defense up. Now imagine what a guy like Joe Burrow would do. Yeah. That being said, I think the Bills have like that +5 attribute playing for Lamar Hamlin. I think he's going to be there. I think they're going to pull it out. It's going to be another close one. I don't expect any blowouts this weekend. Maybe the Eagles could get like that since they are division rivals. But I expect the Bills in maybe like I'm talking like 42-34 game. High scoring. The fact that their line, like the Ravens made sure the Bengals were hurt. Jonah Williams not. They're down 3 starters on that line. I think Ed Oliver. Is it Gregory Rousseau? I think plays for them too. I know who we were fans of going into the 2020 draft.
Yeah,
I got to see something from you. I think they will. I thought the Ravens did a great job getting to Burrow, but unfortunately, like I said, our defense didn't let us down. It was the offense. I can't see them. The Bills' offense making the same mistakes we did. Although Allen had 3 turnovers last week. You are not going to win games giving the ball to them 3 times. We saw what happened with us. We turned it over 2 times. We took one back for a touchdown. But I do have Buffalo winning. I think we're going to see Stephon Diggs if Demarcus Robinson was cooking Eli Apple like that, what is Stephon Diggs going to do? Playoff Gabriel Davis is a thing. Dawson Knox, he scored in like every single game, it feels like. Game of the Bills in high-scoring affair.
I'm about to say, this is Gabriel Davis's game, right? Divisional year last year, he had 4 touchdowns? Yeah, so
4.
We'll see what he does in this game. But again, man, I got the Bengals. I think it's going to be a very close game, a very high-scoring game, like you said as well. But at the end of the day, I'm taking Burrow, man, over a lot of different quarterbacks in this league when it comes down to, just, hey, go get me a win. He knows how to do it. I've seen it. So those are going to conclude our picks for the divisional round of the playoffs 2022-2023 season. Hope you enjoyed that. Next, we're going to go ahead and get into our last segment of the night.
Yes.
Which is our question segment.
Q&A.
Our questions. The Q&A. You can ask Simply as 10 and me, myself, Sutton Deck, anything that you want to, whether it be about Ravens football, whether it be about other teams in football, whether it be about other sports, or whether it not be about sports at all. It could be about anything, literally anything. Life, food, movie, anything that you want to talk about, anything that you want to ask us. Music. Yeah. Ask us anything. Now is the time. Let's see what you guys have to say here.
Yeah, this should be a fun one. Especially with the Ravens, with the parting ways of Greg Roman.
Yeah.
And, I could start it off with this. The way they went with the whole parting ways thing. Do you think we just put it out just to be nice, just to kind of save him a little bit? Try to be like, okay, well, we didn't really fire you. Hopefully you can get another job. Because that looks pretty bad if you got fired.
Well, I think that it was more so the fact that he had another year on his contract, but it was an option year. And I think the Ravens just opted out of picking up that option. It's like, hey, we're not going to pick it up. We're just going to part ways. You can go find yourself a new job. We're going to find ourselves a new offensive coordinator. It's like no harm, no foul sort of thing. So it kind of worked out for both parties.
Yeah.
Let me see some of the questions we have here in the chat. Be More Ravens Gunny, what's going on, brother? Says, wherever he ends up, does Sean Payton offer Drew Brees a spot on his staff? That's interesting. What's the relationship? So. Are they close?
I know Brees is working at Purdue as like one of the, I think, recruiters. So, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't. I don't really think so either. I think Sean Payton is more of like the more I watch and listen to Sean Payton on television, he seems more of like a more self-absorbed kind of guy, to be honest with you. I don't think that he's going to go anywhere and necessarily have to have Drew Brees, his, former quarterback that played for him. I don't think he's going to have him by his side. I think he'll hire his own guys, and that'll be that. So,
Yeah.
in short, for me, no, I don't think so.
Kind of
J
crazy
Prime,
Sean Payton ran from the grind thinking about it. Like they were in cap hell. He's like, I'm retiring.
he's
Have
like, all right,
fun.
y'all, peace out.
Y'all are like 150 million in negative in the cap. You got Taysom Hill's like 4-year, 140 million money laundering contract. Bye.
J Prime says we have the question of what OC would you guys prefer for the Ravens? Listen, there's a lot of names out there right now. What are you thinking now?
I've seen Frank Reich. I've seen, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, is he the pass game coordinator? I believe for the Eagles. I don't know names yet. I'm still a little celebrating the news from the day. I've seen the Niners staff. I think one of their pass game coordinators too. For me, somebody from that Shanahan McVay tree that something about that just really intrigues me. And Brian Johnson is from the Eagles. I saw he utilizes RPOs. I think I'd be pretty interested in that, especially with the Ravens running attack. I mean, you want to load that box up. Okay, we can hit you a nice little pass option too.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, I can't give you a definitive answer, but as long as it's somebody who has a good track record with receivers that can utilize them and they get over 1,000 yards on offense, I wouldn't be too upset.
Yeah. Anybody, like you said, who can just provide a spark to this passing game, I think would be beneficial to us. In terms of all the names, not exactly sure yet, but I'm going to get into that as the offseason goes on. Let me see. My guy Dylan says, do we really believe what we heard today in the same presser last year? They said how they were going to pick up Hollywood's option, and look what happened. I don't believe it till I see it with them anymore.
I mean, Hollywood kind of made it known when you look back at it that he really didn't want to be here.
He requested out. He wanted out.
Yeah, when you think about what's the point of having soldiers, frustrated, stuff like that, removing the Ravens from his Instagram. I mean, yeah, they do lie. We talk about the liars luncheon a lot. What question are you referring to? So we can get more in depth on that. But there obviously definitely was some lies told today, but I can't pinpoint which ones. Give me a question you think, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah. Jabari says, y'all reaction of Sean McVay staying with the Rams.
Disappointed but not surprised. Wish he was.
I'm not surprised either. It's just one bad year. Come on, bro. I mean, I think that they might be in like slight poverty and maybe the next year, maybe two, but it's just not very commonplace for coaches to jump around jobs, especially when they've had success like recently.
Yeah.
That would be like just like if John Harbaugh left the Ravens in 2014.
Yeah.
Like after a couple seasons of, no success, just leaves. I mean, I don't really see that happening. I think Sean McVay likes it in LA. I feel like LA loves Sean McVay and what he's done for that franchise. So they're going to do everything that they can to keep him in that building.
Definitely likes that attention. I see him on those Campbell soup commercials. You're not fooling me. Definitely likes it.
All right, let's see. Let's take a few more here. This one coming from King says trade for D-Hop and Judy. Our draft record is poor.
Can agree. I can agree with that. Draft record is poor.
Yeah.
I just can't see them trading for two.
No.
I'm not saying no to it,
two.
but I don't think DC would do that. Yeah, I wouldn't hate it because that right there, I mean, D-Hop, Judy Bateman. Sign me up. That'd be pretty nice. Talk about, and then nice. You haven't give me a competent OC as well. Oh, we are talking, but yeah. I can't see us doing it, and that sucks. I can't see it happening. But one of them, yes.
I cannot wait until we get to make the episode this offseason where we pick up one of these big name wide receivers and we know who like we're carrying into the next season as like our number one weapon. I would love DK Metcalf. I would love D-Hop. Hey, we'll see. But I do like where you're thinking. I like where your head's at, King. All right, let's see. Furious Johnson says, "Do you guys feel like getting D Hop is actually reality if we sign LJ?" Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, if we re-sign Lamar Jackson, that's going to make the Ravens a much more attractive destination to a lot of wide receivers who are free agents, maybe who are, on the trading block, things like that. Because, that's the biggest thing that's looming around the city right now is that we don't know what's going on with Lamar's contract. But once that all gets settled and becomes clear to everybody and public information, then, people will want to come here, and I feel like it'll be a lot more possible for us to get a D-Hop.
I think it's real reality. And the best part about it is the fact that they're open to moving him, and the fact I don't think he wants to be there either. The reason why I respect Hollywood a bunch is because he didn't make it public he wanted to get traded. Because we got the same amount of capital as the Titans did for AJ Brown. Now, I know people judge them differently. Some people say, well, what we got is basically the same for less production. Yeah, you're right. So with D-Hop basically announcing that he wants to leave, the Cardinals are kind of in a bad spot right now because they can't say, "Oh, we want this first round pick, bro." You traded a second and a fifth. Was it a second and a fifth? I think, or a second David Johnson. One of those two. It's a really bad trade. We can go in there and give you a third and a sixth. Eat that contract.
Yeah.
The fact that he wants out helps us out immensely. And if we do re-sign Lamar, I can definitely see it happen. 100%.
You see, Mod K-Dog in the house. What's going on? K-Dog says, "We only become attractive to a wide receiver when we find out who is the next offensive coordinator."
Yep.
I think that's a pretty good point there, too, honestly. Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll see.
Can you imagine
yeah.
an OC announcement, like a top OC, and then Lamar news like in the same day? That would be amazing.
Hopefully, for our sake, they spread it out. You know what I mean? So, like, we
True,
can have,
true.
like, one episode to this, one episode to that, because, an overload of information in the offseason isn't always necessarily a good thing, but
Yeah.
that is great news, though. That would be great news for sure. Let me see. Just watch that Kyle Hamilton video simply.
Thank you. Thank you. I was watching, like, I thought it was funny. I know we never were off the Kyle Hamilton train. I remember us talking about it in the draft stream. Like, bro, how is Kyle Hamilton falling? We're like talking pick 7, 8, 9. Hamilton was a projected top 5 pick. We're like, bro, whoever gets him to need a fucking steal falls to us. And just, I know he had a bad week too. But after that, Hamilton played really, really well. And I think it went untalked about. I thought he deserved more credit for what he's done in this defense, playing in slot corner, playing up at the ball, playing in the back, as a safety. And he did pretty damn well. So, Cal Hamilton, kudos to you. Kudos to number 14. Baller.
Yeah. That Miami game definitely did put like a stain on his name, but he definitely cleared that up like throughout the season for sure. Forcing a fumble in the playoffs as a safety, that's huge. That's huge. As a rookie, come on, man. Come on. He probably knocked Hayden Hurst out for like a split second on that play, to be honest with you. How hard he hit him.
And if we're talking about, like, if say we won that game, we're talking like Kyle Hamilton, like he would probably got defensive rookie of the year votes. Because you know how like that recency bias is. It's like, oh dude, like he caused that fumble, and then he had this and that. But also one thing about Hamilton too. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, was his fumble against the Patriots. Like the way he just chased down, I think it was Jacoby Myers, I believe. And that basically sealed the game for us. That won us the game.
Yep.
It's just the small things, people don't see with Hamilton.
And that's as a rookie too. Like, guys, you got to remember, he is a rookie. Like he's still very raw. I feel like going into next season, he could really emerge as one of maybe a top 5 safety. We don't know. Like, stand by. Let me see. Last question we're going to take here tonight. This one's coming from Jonathan Washington Jr. Says, how would you guys feel if we went interior O-line in round 1 of the draft? Interior O-line. So obviously we know that, like my guy Alex said earlier, Ben Powers probably played himself out of our price range. And we're probably going to have to go ahead and draft or, move up one of these guys in office of maybe a Ben Cleveland,
Yeah.
But I would not be opposed to drafting interior O-line. Now, round 1, I don't necessarily think so. I feel like there's bigger fish to fry on this roster right now. I mean, wide receiver would be one, cornerback as well, and then edge rusher. I feel like you can never stop trying for a good edge rusher, a game-changing, game-wrecking edge rusher. So interior O-line, for me, round 1, no. I would probably say like round 2 and up.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to pull up our offensive linemen. So Ben Cleveland, we got him in like the 3rd round. Ben Powers, I think 4th or 5th rounder. Makari, undrafted. Like our tackle Falele, what, a 4th rounder, I believe, or a 3rd rounder. Morgan Moses, free agency. I wouldn't hate it. We've always talked about it. O-line isn't the sexy pick, but how I don't think neither one of us were jumping for joy when we got Tyler Linderbaum. But
right,
it was nice having a center who there was rarely any bad snaps. Yeah, he had some bad ones, but it wasn't like what we're used to seeing. And he was ferocious and mean. No, I'm right there with you though. It wouldn't be in my top 3. They're pretty much my 4th. Receiver, corner, edge, and then lineman. But if we're talking about our Kyle Hamilton situation, best player available and it's a lineman, I wouldn't be upset. But I would prefer the other things in front of it.
For sure. Well said. I think we're going to go ahead and leave it there for this episode of the Purple Rain podcast, episode 153. All 100 people watching live right now. Thank you guys so much for coming out to our show. We love you guys. Make sure you like the video. Leave a thumbs up before you go. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast, like you see down below. Follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Sutton Def. Follow this guy over here on Twitter at SimplyAs10. On Instagram at SimplyAs10.prod. And never, ever forget, listen, manscaped.com. You can go on that website. You can place yourself an order. They just came out with a new beard product. It's called the Beard Hedger. You know, you got a beard, you know what I mean? You want to get it nice and shaped up? Go ahead and order the Beard Hedger. Alex already took care of himself the other day with the Lawnmower 4.0. So, I mean, they got plenty of products.
It was as smooth as a baby's bum. That's how smooth it was.
Exactly.
Smooth. Oh, my goodness.
And if you want that same sort of quality, right, on your face, trimming everything up, making sure that you look amazing, make sure you go on manscaped.com, tip-top shape, manscaped.com, use the code PRP, save yourself 20% off, and you get free shipping as well. With that being said,
how can you hate it?
I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through to episode 153 of the Purple Rain Podcast, the Purple Positive Podcast. All right? Think about positive. You want some good vibes, you come here.
Yes.
And as always, stay positive, test negative.
And never, ever, ever forget to call God. This has been episode 153 of the